cool place.
Wow.
Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. My name's Kevin Washoe. I serve as the Senior Vice Chancellor for External Relations here at the University of Pittsburgh. And on behalf of Chancellor Gable and our board, it's a real pleasure today to have Governor Shapiro and Secretary Siger here to talk about the importance of innovation and making sure that Pennsylvania is a leader in innovation, not just nationally, but really globally. And we're very, very honored to have the announcement here at this beautiful old Ford assembly plant, which we've now called the Assembly, and you can see why this train shed is so magnificent, such a great venue. So thank you all for coming. We want to make a few short acknowledgments. We have a few special guests here. We'd like to acknowledge County Executive Sarah Innamorato is here. Leader, longtime trustee, Senator Jay Costa is here. One of my favorite people and former Pitt Student Government Board member, State Representative Latasha Mays is here. Secretary Rick Siger, who's also a local Pittsburgher, is with us today, so thank you, Rick. And a number of people from the life science sector that just aren't from Pittsburgh per se, but really came over from all across the Commonwealth today to be with us. In many respects, the conventional wisdom, people think that Pitt and the partnership with the Commonwealth started in 1966 when we became a state-related institution. But the reality is, when Pitt was granted its charter way back in 1787, the Commonwealth had to grant that charter to what was then called the Pittsburgh Academy. So in many ways, the relationship and the partnership with the Commonwealth stretches back way before even the Constitution. It's a partnership that we cherish. The governor knows this. It's a partnership that has been good for Pitt and has also been good for the Commonwealth. And I think the one important fact that we always say at Pitt, it's hail to possible and hail to Pitt. And that's been our moniker for a while now. But in reality, we take that partnership very seriously with the state. But we also take extremely seriously the responsibility to be an anchor institution, not just of this region or this city, but we always have believed at Pitt, we're really an anchor institution of this Commonwealth. So, Governor, to have you here today is a big deal for us to announce this innovation. In terms of the partnership, this building's actually been a partnership. And I want to make a few acknowledgments, and I think this is important. Our partners, John Grady flew in from Philadelphia today with Wexford Science and Technology. They were the partners with the University of Pittsburgh on this great building. But in many respects, and I think this is a good statistic, this building is fully occupied. So if you want to get in here, you can't get in here. You're going to be knocking on John's door for a couple of years here. But I think the important thing to note is we were looking to attract the businesses to this building. They wanted to be next to our top researchers. Researchers like Mark Schlomchak and Dr. Rory Cooper, who you're going to hear from in a minute. And I think the important thing to know on this is that it was a partnership as we were filling this building that just didn't extend to Wexford and Pitt. It extended to the Commonwealth. It extended, and Secretary Siger knows what we're talking about, it extended to the Allegheny Conference and Matt Smith and Stephanie Pashman. We were all recruiters in chief trying to get businesses to Pittsburgh. And I know that's a big thing for the governor, that he wants to get more businesses and really deliver a strategy that's going to make sense for the Commonwealth. And I'm going to leave you on a couple notes here because I know I'm getting long-winded. But as we were going on the tour, right before the tour, Dr. Mark Schlomchak, who is one of our great researchers, said it very simply, but I think it's a great and beautiful term. He said, this building and the research that's happening in this building is changing lives. And in a short amount of time, the research is changing lives. And as beautiful as this building is, the reality is it's always been about the people at Pitt. It's always been about the research. And I do believe what the governor's trying to do on innovation is to change people's lives. So Governor, on behalf of the University of Pittsburgh, on behalf of the region and the city, thank you for coming and thank you for all your leadership and believing in the innovation of the Commonwealth. So Governor?
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin. I do believe in research, I believe in science, and I believe in the University of Pittsburgh. I say that not just as your governor, but I also say that as a Pitt dad twice. Our daughter graduated last year, and our son is a rising junior, and I've seen the awesome capabilities of this university, both in terms of what happens in the classrooms, Kevin, and also what happens in these great research hubs that you've been able to build and develop. And so I want to say thank you to Chancellor Gable, who reached out to me. I know she had a conflict and couldn't be here. We appreciate your leadership. And I think we do this work every day to help folks like you, those of you on the stairwells here, those of you with the big brains out there discovering the next big thing that's going to save lives or create more opportunity. We really believe in you, and we look forward to making sure we continue to invest in your future success, because your success is our success. And to have that all centered here at the University of Pittsburgh is really, really special. I wanted to be here today to salute the cutting edge work that is happening in Pittsburgh and is happening right here at Pitt. The new discoveries that are going to improve lives and fighting to compete and win in this region when it comes to life sciences. I'm excited to be here today to talk about our economic development strategy and specifically our work around life sciences. When I took office as your governor about 2.5 years ago, my goal was to make Pennsylvania far more competitive, to create more space for folks like you, to create more jobs and economic opportunity. And to do that, I knew we needed to take 4 concrete steps. First, we needed the right people in place for us to be more competitive, for us to do this work. And so we went out and we got great leaders like Secretary Rick Seiger, a Yinzer, by the way, who was working at CMU down the street for many years, and we were able to pull him into our administration as the great Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development. So we needed the people. We also needed a plan. For 20 years, the Commonwealth did not have an economic development strategy. I knew we couldn't be all things to all people, but I knew we had to compete everywhere, in rural, urban, and suburban areas. We had to focus on the 5 key areas that I saw the most opportunity in: energy and robotics, manufacturing, agriculture, and life sciences. We knew how critically important life sciences is, a $50 billion industry that already employs over 100,000 Pennsylvanians, where we are poised for rapid growth. So we needed people, we needed a plan. We also needed speed to market, speed to the consumer. We needed to move at the speed of business in the Commonwealth. And while I know we're not here today to talk about permitting, I'm proud of the fact that the day I took office, it took 8 weeks to get a business license. Today, it takes just 1 day in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. An example of how we've sped up each of our more than 2,000 different permits that we issued through the Commonwealth. Anyone who's tried to get a business off the ground, whether a research lab or a corner store, knows that speed is critically important. So speed was necessary. The fourth and final thing is we needed more resources to be able to invest in those 5 key areas all across Pennsylvania. Resources is a word we use in government for money. I worked with lawmakers of both parties. Last year, I was the only governor in the country with a divided legislature, a Senate led by Republicans, House led by Democrats, yet we were able to come together and invest a new $1 billion in economic development, bringing our total to $1.6 billion during my time as your governor. We used those resources, those monies, to stimulate other growth. I'm proud to be able to announce here today that as a result of that public sector investment, we've been able to leverage $5.2 billion in private sector investment in our Commonwealth, including right here in the greater Pittsburgh region. It's a big deal. It shows that the people, the plan, the speed, and those resources are working to leverage private capital investment, to show that Pennsylvania is open for business, to show that we have what it takes to compete. Now, I want to just focus today on our work in life sciences, because as I look to the future, I know we need to invest in the key sectors that are going to fuel the growth of this Commonwealth. And of course, life sciences is key to that. It's an area where I believe we are poised for explosive innovation and growth. If you look at the landscape, and I think you've got to take an honest assessment of the landscape out there, there are 2 regions that compete at the highest of high levels across our nation. One is Boston, and the other is the Bay Area. They're 1 and 2. And then there's a huge drop-off And I see an opportunity for Pennsylvania to rise into that third place spot. And then once you're in there, the sky is the limit. And so I want to see us grow there. I want to see us be able to develop our talent here at home and keep the research and development that we innovate here at home, keep it here and commercialize it. There is a gap between that second and third place spot, and I want us to fill it. And we have the ability to do just that. Think about it. We've got world-class universities and research institutions. Of course, Pitt and the work done at UPMC, CMU just down the street. I see Dan from Duquesne here. There is so much good work happening right here in this region. The Pittsburgh area is where it's at for groundbreaking research. It's happening in labs like Pitt Space and Dr. Cooper's Human Engineering Research Labs. Real serious stuff is happening here. Taken together, our colleges and universities in Pennsylvania rank 4th in the nation in R&D spending. On top of that, over 100,000 Pennsylvanians work in this industry. The research that is being done here is leading to groundbreaking innovation, and it's saving lives. From the work Jonas Salk did here at Pitt to the discovery that was just announced on genomic therapy in Philadelphia last week, and everything in between. The foundation is there. We just need to create an ecosystem where innovators and entrepreneurs can thrive, and we can close the gap between them. That's why the budget that I announced a few months ago, that is now with Senator Costa and Representative Mays and the other members of the General Assembly for their consideration, delivers $50 million more for innovation and specifically designates $30 million of that just for life sciences innovation to help support the kind of work that is going on in places like this, to give us the opportunity to unleash Pennsylvania's full potential. This type of investment is desperately needed. I want you to think about this. In the last 5 years, Pennsylvania companies received 10,783 new life sciences patents. Let me put that in some perspective for you. That's the 4th highest amount in the entire nation. At the same time, we were ranked right up there with life sciences patents. We received only 3% of the nation's venture capital to build out those innovations. That means that we are effectively doing the research, but then we're losing out on commercial opportunities for other states. Remember when I said there's a huge gap between 1 and 2, and then you get down to 3 and 4? To fill that gap, that means more commercial opportunities to build on the great research that is being done here. And when life sciences grows and thrives, we not only improve lives, but we improve major industries all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Everything is interconnected. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but the #1 purchaser of eggs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a life sciences company, not a grocery store. Think about B. Braun, a leading life sciences company in the Lehigh Valley on the other side of our Commonwealth. Over at B. Braun, they produce things like IV fluids and pharmacy products and complex medical devices. And last year, they sourced $200 million in raw materials and equipment from over 100 Pennsylvania-based suppliers. Why am I telling you about a Lehigh Valley company? Because B. Braun bought raw materials from Meadville and resins from right here in Pittsburgh. The life sciences industry is interconnected all across our Commonwealth. You lift up one piece, it lifts up others. My budget will help supercharge the growth we need in life sciences here in Pennsylvania by giving our life sciences industry a competitive edge over those in neighboring states. With just that additional $30 million earmarked for life sciences, I think we're going to be able to do 3 concrete things. First, we'll establish a network among leading universities and research institutions to help life sciences companies in our Commonwealth complete clinical trials far more quickly and at reduced cost. When we connect world-class research institutions like Pitt with leading life sciences companies, we create a one-stop shop for innovation and growth. Second, we'll challenge our universities, research institutions, and industry partners to look for new and faster ways to commercialize their discoveries. We'll put up matching state dollars to support initiatives that strengthen our life sciences programs and industries in a number of key ways, whether that is an initiative to improve the way research and development is done, or an effort to improve manufacturing and supply right here in Pennsylvania, or new ways to finance these critical discoveries. We're going to use that fund to make our entire life sciences ecosystem far stronger. We think that is critically important. Third, we will use this fund to help train top-tier talent that can take successful spin-off companies from a place like Pitt Space, and turn that into a commercial success. Because with the right leaders in our life sciences industry, we can make sure Pennsylvania isn't just known as the home of Jonas Salk and the polio vaccine, but continue to be known as the place where the next great discovery is going to come from. And by the way, you're looking at a guy that got an A+ on his 5th grade paper on Jonas Salk. So I know a little something about our history there. The network that we are building is going to deliver greater speed, lower costs for our entire life sciences industry, and help fuel the fire in this space, connecting researchers and incentivizing the kind of collaboration that's going to lead to commercial exults. Look, taken together, this fund will give Pennsylvania a competitive advantage, positioning our Commonwealth as a leader to companies who want to move quickly to get their discoveries to market. I know leading research institutions are very excited about working together. They want to build something special in Pennsylvania, a network that improves outcomes for patients and in the private sector. And that private sector, I know they're chomping at the bit for this, because Pennsylvania would become the first state in the nation to have this type of innovation fund. We just need to get this done by working together. We'll combine the $30 million life science investment with another $20 million to spur innovation across all sectors, increasing the number of startups that can thrive right here in Pennsylvania and in buildings like this. We're going to attract more venture capital, and we are going to capitalize on our higher ed talent that is here in great numbers. This is how we compete, and this is how we win in today's economy. It's not lost on me. At a time when the administration in Washington is cutting back on research and development, we are doubling down here in the state. We believe in the work you are doing, and we are going to make sure we continue to invest in it. We have made real progress over the last couple of years, but we've got a long way to go. And I'm excited about our future. As a result of the investments that we've already made, the vision that we have, the people and the plan, we're already beginning to see significant growth. Right now, we're rated one of the top we are rated the top state in the Northeast for regional economic competitiveness by Site Selector magazine. Forbes just recently rated us one of the best states in the country to start a business. Wallet Hub ranks our Commonwealth as one of the top 3 states for quality of life, and CNBC put us in the top 10 states for affordability, the only state in the East Coast. Our work is beginning to pay off. We are beginning to see the fruits of our labor, the results of this hard and bipartisan work. Now, y'all know that I am competitive as hell. While I'm happy with these accolades, I want us to be first at everything, especially when it comes to the life sciences. We have an opportunity. We are poised for real growth. Right now is the time for us to double down on our investments. So I hope the legislature will pass my budget on a bipartisan basis. Believe in the kind of work you're doing that I so believe in. Believe in the kind of things that you all are doing in your labs and in your workspaces every day, because the future of this region, the future of our Commonwealth and our country is in many ways going to be tied back to the great legacy of leadership of the Pittsburgh region. We're here to say it's time to invest even more in it. I want to thank you all for being here today. We have an opportunity for greatness here in this Commonwealth, and I know working together we will achieve that. The person who's been running point on this work for me as I said before, is a Yinzer, someone who you all know quite well. That's the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development, Secretary Rick Seiger.
Thanks. All right, it's terrific to be here. It's good to see so many friends. It's good to be home, just like a few blocks from my house, actually. And it's especially good to speak immediately following Governor Shapiro. Just kidding. Tough draw for me today. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really great to be here at Pitt in the Assembly, which, by the way, is just such an amazing example of a public-private partnership itself. I admit this is my first time here, Kevin and John. This is just absolutely terrific building. It's really one of the best places in Pittsburgh we could talk about innovation, where they're pioneering the intersection between biomedicine and space engineering, the kind of innovation that happens here in Pennsylvania. This is who we are. And under the leadership of Governor Shapiro, our job, our team's job, all of our job really, is to help that innovation continue to grow and flourish. Because when we do, we're not just supporting the creation of great paying jobs and spurring investment. We're showing the world that Pennsylvania can be a leader in developing and producing the technologies of tomorrow, whether in life sciences and biotech, robotics, AI, advanced manufacturing, and much more. And let's be clear about why we believe this is so important. Innovation is a major economic driver. States with really strong innovation ecosystems have higher GDP and wage growth, lower unemployment, less out-migration of talent. And here in Pennsylvania, we know, as the governor said, we have so many ingredients that feed into a powerful innovation economy. World-class education institutions like Pitt here, but also IP and startups coming from all over this city and all over Pennsylvania. The governor's budget this year deals with this directly. We know for Pennsylvania to be a national and global leader, we must do more. In this proposal, $50 million for innovation, $30 million of which is focused on life sciences, is an opportunity to double down on our strengths. And I want to be clear with you, we believe this investment will have specific, concrete results. It will support our life science industry through bringing our best institutions and companies together, match federal awards to mitigate risk for startups, and leverage what I believe are really our very best-in-class R&D assets, not just here in Pittsburgh, but all across Pennsylvania. We know that we're capable of doing this. The work being done here at Pitt and really across this university is an example of that. We need the resources and investment to build on what we have, and that is what this governor's proposal seeks to do. For those of you who feel the same way I do, and I have a feeling most people here do, make sure you talk to your legislators. Work alongside your partners to make the case for this important investment. This is a bipartisan effort, and we would welcome your support. The governor and I look forward to continuing that work to turn this proposal into a reality. And as I wrap up here, I'll just finish by saying what I say really at every talk I give everywhere in Pennsylvania, which is that economic development is a team sport. And the state has an important role to play, but really I see so many friends and colleagues here, people from local economic development organizations, Life Science PA, Kurt, thank you for being here, and others, who all can work together across Pennsylvania to make this reality. And I will say, as I introduce the next speaker, one key partner in that is Megan Shaw from the Pittsburgh Life Science Alliance. Megan, please.
Good job.
Thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Secretary Seiger and Governor Shapiro, for your support of the human health innovation ecosystem here in southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm Megan Shaw. I'm the president and CEO of the Pittsburgh Life Sciences Alliance. We bring together Greater Pittsburgh's unique strengths in clinical, research, and technology applications to develop this region as a leader and economic engine in the life sciences. You all know that there's an increasing intersection in AI and biotechnology, and this is fundamentally changing the landscape of human health innovation globally. But the Pittsburgh region is at the forefront of both the capabilities and the talent that's driving that change. This region is a true powerhouse of both R&D and clinical capabilities. We lead in healthcare specialties such as oncology, ophthalmology, transplantation, critical care, and many others. But we also lead in advanced technologies, in AI, computer science, cybernetics, robotics. And it's where these intersect where our advanced technologies are allowing for breakthroughs in development and treatments that this region really shines. Business is taking notice. In the audience today, I see members from Zoll, Bayer, Smith & Nephew, Thermo Fisher, global multinationals that are choosing to put their R&D, manufacturing, and distribution hubs here in Pittsburgh. Our homegrown unicorn, Abridge, was recently ranked by both Forbes and Time as one of the most innovative companies in the world. Crystal Biotech has developed the first redosable gene therapy to be approved by the FDA, and they're manufacturing that here in Pittsburgh. But with the academic leadership that we have in Carnegie Mellon and advanced technologies, with Pitt in the life sciences, with not one but two integrated health systems that are nationally renowned based here in Pittsburgh, we can and we must do more to translate these innovations that are happening here to companies, jobs, and economic opportunity. Other states have aggressively invested in creating business-friendly environments and seeding initiatives to build robust life sciences clusters. It's our turn to see bipartisan support for policies to make this Commonwealth a more competitive place for human health innovation companies to start, grow, and expand here. The innovation program outlined here is a down payment on a huge economic opportunity for the state, facilitating innovation and enhancing the path to commercialization and job creation. These investments have huge multiplier effects, creating jobs in construction and logistics for people throughout this region. And of course, the innovations that we're talking about here are about saving out lives, increasing access to healthcare in rural communities, and addressing the rise of chronic conditions. Pittsburgh is poised to become a leading global hub for human health innovation. Life sciences innovations here create opportunity locally and change lives globally. Smart investments in policy today can ensure that Pittsburgh and the Commonwealth overall are at the forefront of human health innovation for generations to come. Thank you. Now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Rory Cooper.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. All right, Doc.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Governor Shapiro. I'm Rory Cooper. I'm the director of the Human Engineering Research Laboratories, and I'm both the beneficiary of and a contributor to life-changing medicine. And I chose to be at Pitt because of the amazing work that we do at the Medical Center, the School of Medicine, and the university at large. My team creates life-changing assistive technologies. Some of the examples you might know, we created the technology that's used on every single power wheelchair in the world. The controls that allowed millions of Americans independence and millions of people worldwide independent mobility for the first time. We also worked on the ergonomics of wheelchairs, including the ergonomic push rims that I use myself. And that reduced the incidence of rotator cuff injuries and carpal tunnel syndrome from about 80% within 5 years down to 20%. We also developed cushions that people use to prevent pressure injuries or pressure ulcers from around the world. And as a fun thing, unfortunately they're not yet in Pittsburgh, hopefully will be soon. They were introduced in San Antonio. We've created the first wheelchairs that are completely submersible. So kids can use splash pads and water parks and participate in summertime activities for the first time. So these are all life-saving things. Pennsylvania is also home to one of the largest wheelchair manufacturers up on the northeastern part of the state. So we are leaders in assistive technology, University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon University, Penn State, and Penn and Temple in Philadelphia as well. Together, we probably are the strongest academic state in the world for assistive technology. And we need to leverage that in the commercial sector as well. So many of the innovations and inventions we create, those those number of patents that we help contribute to the state to be one of the leading ones, so that those companies start here, stay here, and do work that transforms the world. So I'd like to thank you, hopefully to contribute to this initiative. I'll certainly contribute to generating more patents for Pennsylvania, and as well as my team. And now I'd like to introduce County Executives Sara Imarato.
Thanks, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gov. Good afternoon, and as a proud Pitt grad, I have to say H2P. So thank you, Pitt, for hosting us in this impressive facility. Thank you, Governor, for returning to Allegheny County. Maybe next time you show up with one of those big checks after we pass this and get this money, we can invest in the life sciences right here. So Governor Shapiro has been an incredible partner along with Secretary Siger on investing in economic development here in Allegheny County. I'm so grateful to have his partnership. And it comes at a critical point for Pittsburgh and our entire region. We faced many challenges, but we've turned the page. Pittsburgh, we are a resilient city, we are a resilient people, we know how to transform. And the life sciences and innovation economy is a critical part of our economic future and growth in our next chapter that we are writing today. At a time when the federal government is dangerously divesting in research and development, having a major impact on our universities, I'm happy to stand with a governor who understands the importance of investing in science and technology. Together, we understand that we need to create places that attract and retain public and private investment, like we're seeing what's possible through the life sciences sector. For the first time in decades, my administration prioritized investment in economic development within the county's capital budget. And like the governor, we understand that Allegheny County needs a strategic plan for growth. So we're embarking on the county's second ever comprehensive plan, which will help us think about where there are growth opportunities for this sector in terms of site development, infrastructure, connectivity, but also how we build the communities, the main streets, the housing that all who live and work here deserve and want. And as part of this planning process, we will work closely with the city around economic development to ensure that our plans are aligned with what's happening at the state. And we contemplate and focus on growth in the life science and innovation space. We're going to think about what it means for land use, but also for connectivity and real estate investment, what it means for talent attraction and retention, and how these public investments result in shared prosperity, especially in communities that have been left behind for far too long. We have discovered life-saving, world-changing science here in Pittsburgh. And now is not a time to walk away from that legacy. Like the governor said, we are going to double down and we are going to grow it. The convergence of technologies here through AI and life sciences and biotechnology and data analytics, it is transforming the landscape here. And we are positioned to lead on this. Not only that, we are thrilled to see the life science industry increasingly emphasize sustainability, from eco-friendly manufacturing processes to the development of biodegradable medical devices. So it's not just Philly. Right here in southwestern Pennsylvania, we can, with these investments and vision and the private sector and technical expertise and our amazing institutions, we will become a global hub for life sciences and human health innovation. I feel it and I know it. So thank you, Governor Shapiro. Thank you for all of you for being partners in investing in Allegheny County so that we can grow for everyone. And now it is my honor to bring up my partner in the Senate, Senator Costa.
Okay. Not interested, don't worry.
I don't think any
I like
of us
my
are.
work, but not interested. Thank you very much, County Executive Imarato, and thank all of you for being here today and allowing me the opportunity to say a few words. And first start off by saying thank you to Governor Shapiro for another block in your economic development plan that you laid out over a course of a year and a half or so ago.
talking about what is going to be needed for us to be successful, to be a global player in a variety of different spaces as you articulated a few moments ago. Last year, we worked hard and consumed a lot of time getting through the States program, which is having great benefit. I will say, Secretary Siger, we spoke about this. Philadelphia got off to a good start, but we have a lot of catching up to do, and we will do that. But nevertheless, the investments that are made through programs like that, and this building block is another one to be able to make certain that we're in a position to be successful. As the county executive mentioned and others mentioned, there's a lot of uncertainty coming out of Washington, D.C. about where things are at and where things are going. But I think, as she indicated, that there's a lot of things that are certain here in our Western Pennsylvania region, our Pittsburgh region, that we can be proud of, that recognizes that we are well positioned, well poised to be successful with these resources, certainly, and with the innovation that's going to take place. And the life science space is one example of that. Certainly the $30 million for the life sciences you're going to do and 20 for the overall, in a recurring way, which I think is important as well to remember that. This is just not a one and done, but the recurring nature of these are going to be important to be able to sustain the type of programs we're talking about. But when you talk about what we have here in our Pittsburgh region, as was mentioned, the integrated healthcare delivery systems, our tremendous universities that we have, the students who are coming here from all around the country and all around the world to come be educated here, our opportunity to be able to maintain them and keep them here is extremely important. Certainly what's developing right down the road with the AI corridor, how that integration takes place, as Megan talked about, how important that is and how these resources are going to be instrumental to be able to grow all that for our region and provide folks the opportunity to live and want to grow here and be a part of this economy. So I'm very excited to be here with my colleagues who are here today. I can bring assurances that as a Democratic leader in the Senate, I assure you we have at least 23 votes to get this thing through the finish line. We'll continue to work on our colleagues on the other side of the aisle because it's imperative that this whole conversation be a bipartisan. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about bringing a solution, part solution to an economy that's so important to our region, that we are well positioned, can well benefit from what's going to take place here. And it's just not Allegheny County, it's all around the counties. It's Beaver, Butler, Westmoreland, all those places that other type of innovation is going to take place and in many different ways. How important that's going to be for us to work together. And I assure you that this will be a high priority for my colleagues in Harrisburg. So Governor, thank you for coming to Pittsburgh, for bringing this discussion here today. Now it's my honor to introduce my colleague from the House of Representatives, Latasha B. Mays, Representative B. Mays.
Good afternoon, everyone. You can do better than that. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 24th Legislative District. Governor Shapiro, welcome back and welcome always. Of course, hail to Pitt. I'm a proud graduate as well of the University of Pittsburgh, and I think I am living proof of what a world-class education can do for a person seeking to thrive in the greater Pittsburgh region. And I also got to shout out my other alma mater, Carnegie Mellon, as well. Economic development is essential to our city and our region, as well as to our communities and our neighborhoods, in order for them to thrive. And we know that the jobs that will be produced by this type of investment in life science and biomedicine will mean high-paying jobs, but also there'll be high-tech and high-paying jobs in this community. As we have heard today, together, we are investing in the innovation that saves lives. And for me, especially around my passion of maternal health, that the governor has been such a leader during his administration to advance, I believe that life science and biomedicine can be part of the solution to ending preventable maternal deaths in our Commonwealth. So here at Assembly, a hub for life science and biomedicine, it shows us how we can repurpose the vestiges of technology of the past to the technology of the future. So my hope and vision today is that we can not only incubate the world's greatest innovations from right here in the 24th Legislative District, but that we can harness the talent and the brilliant minds of the youth of my community and put them on a pathway to science and technology and engineering and mathematics. And so for me, this is why it's important that we are able to get the job done, to make sure that we can invest the dollars, invest the $50 million in our state budget this year. I also just happen to be on the Appropriations Committee, so that works out well. And I just want to say that I'm glad that I could be here today. Thank you to all my colleagues together in the Capitol and here in the region. This is how we're able to get things done for our community. And I just want to thank the governor for being here once again, and I want to bring him back to the podium to close us out. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Mays and I were at a barbershop in the Hill District a month or two ago, and she was the closer there. It's always a good event when you're closing us out. I have to just take a moment and make sure you all understand how pivotally important Senator Costa and Representative Mays are. All of the investments that I talked about here today that we have made that have helped us begin to start growing again as a Commonwealth are only possible because of their votes. Senator Costa's leadership in the state Senate, where he's quite literally the leader of the Democratic caucus. And I think it's safe to say Representative Mays is the deciding vote in the House of Representatives, along with, by the way, every other one of her colleagues, because there's a one-vote difference in the House. But seriously, they've both been leaders on these issues. And so while I stand up here and we make the investments, none of these things happen but for the two of them, and you're blessed to have their leadership. I hope it is also not lost on folks here that you have local government led by a county executive in Inamorado working together with her state partners to advance the region. That also doesn't happen everywhere. That's pretty special about this place. And then furthermore, note that we have the leaders of our universities, like Kevin Washoe, who opened our program, and leaders from the private sector. Everybody here rowing in the same direction. That's a big deal. Let's not lose sight of that. Let's be proud of what we've been able to accomplish together, and let's certainly be hungry for a whole lot more. I know I am. And so with that, I know we'll take some questions from the media. I might even take one question from somebody who works here on the steps, so get ready, all right? So if there's any questions from the media. Yeah, look, common sense has prevailed in each of our last two budgets where we've made historic investments in public safety, education, and economic development. I'm back focusing on those same core things. I think we'll be able to get that done again this time. And what it means is everybody's going to have to compromise. I'm going to have to compromise. The Senate led by Republicans is going to have to compromise. The House led by Democrats are going to have to compromise. And when we compromise, we come together and we're able to move the ball forward and get stuff done. I'm just going to need you to speak up. I can't hear you. Yeah. Well, because we're not taking advantage of the patents that are developed by folks like them, and instead they're being commercialized elsewhere, maybe in Boston or maybe in the Bay Area or somewhere else. So what we need to do is continue to develop all these big technologies, the life sciences advancements, the great work that's happening in AI as well complements this. And instead of then allowing that research and development that's been done here to be taken elsewhere for commercialization, we've got to create the ecosystem where it's being commercialized right here. Places like the Assembly are really important to that. The nexus between the private sector and our universities, really important to that. And so we've just got to continue to make those investments to keep the commercial activity, or to bring the commercial activity here after those patents are developed here. Well, we know that the ROI on life sciences is particularly high. Secretary Siger can give you a breakdown kind of industry by industry. We know that this is a profitable sector of the economy. It's a place that not only employs a whole lot of folks, over 100,000, wages tend to be pretty high. And so we're seeing a really good ROI when it comes to the life sciences companies that we're investing in. Anybody up here? Yeah. On topic though, okay, pal? Yeah.
Yes, I'll try. How do you view the administration's
Yeah. So the question was about the administration in Washington's, your word, attack on Harvard. Look, I think the fact that you've got the administration in Washington attacking higher education as opposed to working with them and seeing them as incubators of technology, incubators of opportunity, I think that's a problem. And so what I have tried to do is stand up for our universities here at home in Pennsylvania. In fact, I've taken the Trump administration to court and won to protect the dollars that are set to flow here in Pennsylvania. I'm going to continue to do that with all of our institutions here. I communicate regularly with our university presidents, both our public presidents like Chancellor Gable, as well as presidents of our private institutions. They're all very important, and we're going to continue to work with them. Anything else? I'm sorry, I just can't hear you. Yeah, look, when this deal was announced about 18 months ago, I made very clear, while there were some that kind of ran to either side of this, some were yes, some were no, I made clear that we've got to protect the jobs in the Mon Valley, and we've got to have a recipe for growth of the steel industry in Pennsylvania. And that doing nothing really wasn't an option, because what we've seen over the last number of years is by doing nothing, by staying static, jobs were bleeding from our region, were leaving our region. And so that was not going to be viable. Over the last 18 months, I've engaged with folks at every level, from local labor leaders to the former president of the United States and everyone else in between, including the companies involved, to both understand what they were proposing, to make sure that the deal got better for Pennsylvania, and that we could do something that would protect our workers and protect the future of steelmaking in our Commonwealth. We've got a great heritage and history when it comes to steelmaking. I don't want this to be something our kids read about in the history books. I want this to be a place where people today want to go work and where their kids want to go work tomorrow. About a month or so ago, I got a call from the President of the United States after the arson attack on the governor's residence. And after a few minutes of speaking with that, the first issue I raised with President Trump was about this U.S. Steel Nippon deal. In talking with him about the need to make sure the investment was richer, that the jobs would be protected, and that there would be a pathway to growth. I've also worked closely with Senator McCormick and others in the congressional delegation to try and come together on a bipartisan basis to protect these jobs, protect the rights of our workers here, and have a path forward. What we've known throughout this whole process is that the decision was largely going to be made by the president. First, President Biden blocked the deal, and then President Trump on Friday signaled his approval. The reason I say it largely rests with the president is because it was bound up in a process called CFIUS, a federal process that had to be addressed before the commercial transaction could go forward. Now that the president has signaled his approval, now we have an opportunity to protect and grow steelmaking in the Mon Valley, to keep the headquarters in downtown Pittsburgh, something I was insistent upon with Maury and the folks at Nippon, and to create avenues for real growth. Now, I think I'm cautiously optimistic today after the president's statement last week. There's still no deal signed, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I had a conversation with Maury just last night from Nippon about the importance of getting this done and getting it done as quickly as possible. I know he feels the same way. So a lot of work still left to be done. I'm pleased with the direction that it's headed, and I'm pleased with the collaboration that we have seen throughout this process. I think that that signals that certainly when it comes to economic development, and I think we've seen this on many other issues, leaders in Pennsylvania, both public sector and private sector, can come and work together to get stuff done. Okay? Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.